Yo, welcome back to the SF Comic Book Company. This is Ray Gonzalez here with my little buddy here.
Rick Quintero.
You don't have a cool stage name yet?
Rick Diesel. Rick. Yeah, you're gonna love that. You're gonna love that one. It's gonna be Rick Diesel.
Rick D's nuts.
I'm gonna choose a new name.
So today's episode, we're gonna do a top 10 horror movies. Personal favorites. Now it's not like the best horror movies, like in filmmaking wise or whatever. This is our personal list of our favorite horror movies. So Rick's gonna do his. I'm gonna do ours. We're gonna go back and forth. We're gonna flip for the first pick. Rick, do we have any criteria or anything we're going with?
Well, first of all, what I chose for horror movies was straight up horror movies. I did not go thriller. I did not go suspense. I didn't bring sci-fi into it. So for everybody who's hoping to see Alien on this list, The Fly, maybe even Videodrome or some other movies, sorry, that's not going to happen. Not today. So it's pretty much our personal lists. So you can argue it. Please feel free to argue it in the comment section. And remember, hit like and subscribe.
Well said, Rick.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to flip a coin for who's going to go first. So, Rick, call it.
Tails. Shit. Now we have to go look at what it is.
Heads it is.
Heads it is. God damn it. I fucking lost.
I am Harvey Dent. Thank you. All right, so first let's do our... okay, I'm picking first, but let's do our honorable mentions first. So I'm going to pick my first honorable mention. Rick's going to be pissed off. This is probably in his top 10, but... Scream, honorable mention, the first one,
okay.
First Scream. I had debated putting this in the top 10. It's a classic, directed by Wes Craven, a great cast, great music, great everything. It's
great quotes.
Great quotes.
Great quotes. Sydney!
Sydney! I think we still quote this movie today. One of the great classics. Almost made the top 10, but it just barely. Rick, what's your first honorable mention?
My first honorable mention is a movie called The Monster Project. A lot of people probably don't know about this flick. It's one of these found footage kind of movies, similar to like the Blair Witch Project. Except what they're doing is they're filming like a reality show, and they bring in 3 subjects, and 3 different subjects: demon, vampire, skinwalker, not just a werewolf, but a skinwalker when they're going into Native American lore. I found this movie just by chance on Tubi TV. You can probably download the app onto your phone. You can download the app onto your PlayStation or even to your Fire Stick if you have it. But The Monster Project is one of these movies. It was made in 2017. I found it to be really cool.
Okay.
Please, if you haven't watched it, just check it out. You can find it really, really easily.
So, Rick, you would say you'd like it?
I like it. I like it. It has a Rick. I won't even say Rick Diesel anymore. Son of a bitch. It has a Rick seal of approval. The Monster Project's a real good movie.
All right.
I think people like it.
All right. My next honorable mention: the remake of Night of the Living Dead, which I prefer over the original George Romero Night of the Living Dead.
Okay.
Directed by Tom Savini, came out in about 1990, I believe. It's a color. It's not a shot by shot. There's some different twists to it, but I actually prefer this movie to the original. I know it's a controversial opinion, but I really like this movie.
Starring Tony Todd.
Tony Todd,
the Candyman.
Yep. Actually, one of overacting at its best, but it's directed by Tom Savini. The effects are great. If you haven't checked out the remake. I believe it was a Showtime movie at the time.
No, I actually think that movie got a wide release.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think you're wrong.
No, at that time, I think this movie did get a wide release.
I think you're wrong.
I remember...
I think you're wrong. Look it up right now.
Oh, are we going to have to do this?
We'll look it up later.
Okay, we'll look it up later. We're going to have the information for you guys.
Rick's
I'm
probably
going to
wrong.
have it,
Rick's probably
have
wrong.
it onto the side.
All right, what's your next pick, Rick?
So, my next pick...
Honorable mention number
2. It's Scream.
Whoa.
Scream did not crack my top 10.
Controversy already.
Yeah, it's controversy. Just like the same thing though. I love this movie. I actually am ashamed to say I saw it in the theater 19 times. It was that summer movie for me as soon as I got out of high school.
And he was getting laid in high school too. That's a shocker.
Doesn't happen to me. But yeah, It's a great film. Like we just said before, it's very quotable. Up to all of Randy's quotes in that movie.
Oh, Randy's the best.
Yeah. Then you got Billy Loomis. Billy Loomis was great. He had a lot. Him and Stu. I think just him and Stu's relationship going through just a synergy that they both had. It's just very well written. Kevin Williamson. Big ups to him. If people don't know who Kevin Williamson is, you guys should check out.
Watch Dawson's Creek. That's
Dawson's Creek, the Dawson.
Upsetting though that Kevin Williamson wrote the movie Cursed, which
Cursed fucking let me down.
What a letdown.
Yeah, Cursed was a very
I was
big
so
letdown.
excited about that movie. I was like, oh, finally a good werewolf movie. Nope, sorry.
No.
Yeah, Scream was awesome. All right, so my final honorable mention. Boy, Phantasm, the first one, the classic. Wow. Again, should have made the top 10, but there were so many other ones that pushed it aside. Phantasm, classic. If you haven't seen the remastered 4K edition, watch that. It looks beautiful.
Watch.
Very quotable, very cool visual effects. What, 1979, I believe? 78?
Phantasm was 1979.
79. Classic. Actually, J.J. Abrams based the character Phasma on Phantasm. That's why she's all silver and has the name Phasma from Phantasm. He's a big Phantasm fan. He was actually the one that helped get this restored and get it out there and remastered. So, J.J. Abrams, I thank you. So, Phantasm should have made the top 10. And if you ask me in a year, this might be back on the top 10. The lists are fluid, so you never know. So, all right, Rick, what's your next pick?
Oh, this is going to really probably piss off a lot of folks. All right, so my last honorable mention...
Showgirls.
No, it's not. It's just as bad as Showgirls. It's just as good. It's actually the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. 1974's Tobe Hooper's classic.
Tobe Hooper.
The Tobe Hooper classic.
The French director, Tobe Hooper.
You cannot get much better than this kind of flick. I mean, when it came out in the theaters in that time, I wasn't around, but I definitely watched a lot of documentaries when it came to this flick.
In 70?
No, apparently I was already fucking working on my doctorate at that time, as old as I am. But yeah,
in finishing school.
Yes, I was graduate film school. So I mean, what's his name? Fritchie's not the only art student in here. So, but yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's one of those movies that really just changed the tone for horror movies. It just kicked it a notch up. It took everything up to the next level. That's what all my movies, most of them on my list do. They kind of just knock it up to the next level. And it's sad to say that Texas Chainsaw Massacre did not make it to my top 10. But I had to throw it in there for an honorable mention.
Shocking. All right, so now to the big top 10.
There we go.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. All right, so my number 10 of Ray's personal favorite horror movies of all time. It Chapter 1, the first one. It.
Wow. Very good.
Yeah, made my top 10. Probably the newest movie on my list to make the top 10. Great, well directed. The kid actors are great. Great special effects. Great. The tone of it is just great. I love the look of Pennywise. It just, the more I watch it, the more I discover things. It's just a great all around movie. I love it. The second one, kind of wasn't super fond of. Wasn't like juice as I was on this one, but great movie. I can't wait to see what he does next. He's directing The Flash next. Fukunawa, right? What's his name? Muschietti. I always get those guys confused. Muschietti, great director. Even the second one had some cool moments, but It Chapter 1, number 10 on my all-time favorite horror movies.
Oh, actually, I like that pick, but just to, it's just sad because, I mean, just to put a disclaimer, Stephen King did not make any of my list. We actually have to have probably Stephen King top 10 pretty soon.
I think this is going to be your
Stephen
last show.
King did... Well, you know what? I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Stephen King did make my list, but he wouldn't be too happy with it. So that's, spoilers in advance. Spoilers in advance. But yeah, it's a great flick. Right. I have nothing but good things to say about it, especially with Chapter 2. I like Chapter 2. The one thing that really probably will just turn people off is just the way the adults interact. I mean, it's just much more fun to be scared when you're a kid. Everything just really comes at you, and it just terrifies the shit out of you. But as an adult, you know, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I still Pennywise pops into my head when I'm throwing out the garbage at night. I'm running right back into the fucking house. So, all right,
number 10, Rick.
Number 10 for me. Well, hopefully you guys can see this. It's The Evil Dead. 1981's the original Sam Raimi thing that started it all.
Wow.
So everybody does like The Evil Dead 2 because it's
because it's a better film, Rick.
Yeah, it probably is a better film.
It did with the first one, but better.
It just added too much comedy into that second one for me.
But the first one had comedy.
The first one had comedy, but the second one had just a little bit too much for me. I'm a horror purist. I love the blood and gore. The second one did give me blood and gore. But that first one, I mean, just the way, when I watched it, I still remember it to this day when I saw it for the first time. I think I was probably 11 years old or 8 years old the first time I saw it. Big difference in the age. I'm trying to remember exactly when I saw it, but my older brother introduced me to this movie. And
he was later brought up on charges. Yes.
Well, he was brought up on a lot of charges. I don't know. I'm going to leave that out. But, yes. You know, Bruce. You got Bruce Campbell in there. It just started everything off for the chin.
I would never disparage an Evil Dead pick.
Yeah, I mean, Evil Dead it's the only one to make my list, but it's Sam, at least for Evil Dead. None of the other Evil Deads to me really touch this one. Without this one, we don't get part 2.
All right, that's a good pick, Rick. Good pick, number 10. All right, so number 9 on my list. I'm cheating on this pick. I'm cheating. I don't care who fucking is upset about this. Dawn of the Dead and the remake.
Wow,
both of them.
That's 2.
I'm counting it as 2. One. I'm counting it as
fine.
1.
I'll take that.
I'm counting it as 1. I love both of the movies for different reasons. The first one is a classic. I think George Romero's best movie. And the second movie, it's a great remake. Scott Snyder's first movie. I know.
Snyder.
Scott Snyder.
You said Scott Snyder. Yeah.
I do
Batman,
that all the
Batman writer.
I'm getting my genres mixed up. But as Zack Snyder, the controversial Zack Snyder, I think people hate on Zack Snyder, but I always ask them. Have you watched Dawn of the Dead, the remake? Most of them say no. That this is a great movie. Great characters, great pacing. The way it's shot is great. Great opening theme by Johnny Cash. A great movie. Dawn of the Dead, the original. Great soundtrack by Goblin. Just a great, well-paced movie. Just fun. Great zombie effects. Another Tom Savini. He's in there. He does this. Helps with the effects. A great movie. I cheated a little bit on this, but I can't pick out of the two. So Dawn of the Dead, the whole thing. So I cheated. So what?
I actually think that's actually a decent pick because I mean, when it comes to zombie apocalypses, I think all of us have already said that we're gonna probably hit a mall.
I'm hitting a Costco, man.
Ah, shit! I'm hitting Alcatraz or a prison. I'm killing everybody in San Quentin. No, don't take me on that. I take that back. Next thing I know, I'm gonna be brought up in charges.
Oh man, we're damn. It was shut down after a week. Great.
Yeah, that's what I do.
All right, so Rick, number 9. What's on your list?
Here we go. Another. This one didn't make my top 10. Phantasm.
Boy.
Don Coscarelli. I mean, I can't say too much about this guy. I can't say more about this guy, actually. This guy, I mean...
Controversy.
Yeah, dude, Coscarelli, he's done the first one, second one, third one. I mean, he has stayed with this franchise.
He should have stopped at the third one.
He should have, probably.
Fourth and fifth one are horrible.
Very bad.
Horrible.
Very bad.
Don't even
and not
do
just
it.
that, but when it comes to 3 to 4, they really just ruin continuity.
So bad.
But still, to go back and watch the first 3 is... Once they give you an ice cream man as your fucking hero... I mean, there's no... It just has an ice cream man as a hero. It has the coolest car in any horror movie that I've seen. You know, I think it was a Barracuda, 1974 Plymouth Barracuda.
I have one up there. Yes.
It's pretty awesome. Just the things that happen in the flick and what it revolves around. Arguably the highest body count that you don't see because the tall man does get...
No, that doesn't count.
Yeah, the tall man destroys whole towns.
Okay, yeah, I killed the whole town. No, you didn't see it on screen. Doesn't count.
He would have the highest
only
body
screen
count,
deaths count, Rick. Screen deaths count.
And I just want to say, Angus Scrimm, God rest his soul, he did an awesome job in this movie.
Boy.
Yeah, he really terrified you, and
Tall man.
every single scene that he came on, he just chewed up scenery.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much awesome when
he
it
was
comes
great.
to Angus Scrimm. All
Great
right,
pick.
so-
Should have made my pick. I should have made my list. All right. So for what was it going? Number 8 on the list for Ray's personal picks of horror movies. Thou shalt not
kill, cry,
little sister. Thou shalt. Lost Boys.
Lost Boys, awesome.
Lost Boys, one of my favorite movies of all time. I rewatched this movie probably hundreds of times as a child. The movie that inspired me to start a comic book collection, because Corey Haim had a collection. I had to have one. Just great music, great directing by the great Joel Schumacher. Probably his best movie, I would think, other than Batman and Robin. But
Okay.
well acted. Jason Patrick, Sutherland, Corey Haim, Feldman. Just a great cast. Great, one of my favorite things in movies is getting the weapons together montage, and it does it the best. Just all around, great vampire effects. Probably the best vampire effects that's ever been done on screen. Just awesome movie. Good twists. Like I said, the music's great. Filmed in Santa Cruz, so locally filmed. Just a great all-around movie. Just one of my favorites of all time. Lost Boys. Great flick. Rick?
All right, for me, the next one is An American Werewolf in London. So it's the John Landis classic. It shows that John Landis can do other flicks than just comedies. And Animal House, he did venture out. It's a little bit of a dark comedy, but at the same time, it's still a horror movie. Rick Baker, his transformations in this movie are epic. And the fact that it's played, his transformation is played to Blue Moon. And not the very funny one, but the very slow, somber Blue Moon. And you could just see the pain and suffering on David Naughton's face as he's transforming. Great performances by Griffin Dunn. Great performances by David Naughton. Just a whole good cast in this movie as well. Who else? A lot of people, too. Rick Mayall. I didn't know that Rick Mayall was in this movie until I saw it the other day ago. Drop Dead Fred made an appearance. So, I mean, any movie with Rick Mayall, Drop Dead Fred, it's a good flick. So, all right. Let's go to the next flick here.
All right. Well, I'll have more to say about that in a minute.
All right.
All right. So my next pick, number 7. Probably a lot of people haven't seen this movie. They should if you haven't. I recommend this movie all the time. It's a great date movie if you're looking for a flick to watch with a date. Cabin in the Woods. Just an awesome movie. Awesome. So, Drew Goddard.
Drew Goddard.
Goddard.
Yeah, Drew Goddard.
Directs this movie. He filmed it. It came out a couple years after he filmed it. Chris Hemsworth's in it. Just a great cast. It's a kind of love letter to horror movies, horror movie fans, horror movies of all genres. It's not what you think it is. The last 45 minutes are a mind f to the extreme. If you don't know the twist that happens in this movie, don't spoil it for anybody. I recommend it. This movie is awesome all around. You should watch it. Watch it now if you haven't watched it. I can't recommend this movie enough. I've recommended this movie to everyone I've ever met. You want to watch a good horror movie? Cabin in the Woods. Classic. Please watch this movie if you haven't already. It's such a good movie. I can't recommend it enough.
Actually, really agree with that pick. He recommended this movie to me. I watched it. I loved it. You had, of course, he said Chris Hemsworth from Thor's fame. You also had...
Thor's fame?
Yeah, Thor's fame. Thor... He's famously Thor, right? So, you also had Bradley Whitford.
I heard his wife is famously Thor. You know what I'm saying? Oh.
You had Bradley Whitford in it, too. You know, a little smarmy guy from Billy Madison. And you had Richard Jenkins in it.
Leroy Jenkins.
He was a dad from Stepfathers, and they have a great little thing. Once you watch the movie, you will understand. And because of this movie... Tequila is my lady. All right. So now my next film, well, he already mentioned it, but it moved up a little higher on my list. The Lost Boys.
Wow, that's pretty good.
I really can't say too much about or enough. I'm sorry, I keep saying too much. I can't say enough.
So too much.
Joel Schumacher. The one thing I love about this movie is a lot of the lighting that he uses in the flick just really intensifies the scene, especially with all the vampires. The vampire makeup is epic.
Yep.
Used in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show, just a modified version of exactly what they did.
Those biters.
Yeah, right. You know what? Hey, what do they say? They say, copying something is the sincerest form of flattery. But
yeah, I don't think that's how the quote goes, but
yeah, well, I'll take it. Joel Schumacher, it's a classic. You have Jason Patric, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, Jamie Gertz, Jason Newlander, and even the great Kelly Jo Minter, who did not have... She was in the movie, didn't have one speaking role, but still credited, which is nice. And you had Alex Winter. The little ones go first. Sorry. Sorry, Bill. All right. So, that's a great flick.
Good pick.
I love that
So
movie.
that was your 7?
That's my number 7.
Oh, that was my number 8. Wow, that's pretty close.
Really close.
All right. So, my number... What was that? Number 6. My number 6 pick. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Ooh.
Specifically,
Part
3. The Dream Warriors. Awesome movie. I'm a big Freddy fan. I love Freddy. Not my favorite slasher, but number 3 is the best. Directed by
Wes Craven.
Nope.
Wait.
Number
3? Oh, who did number 3? It wasn't Rennie Harlan. Rennie Harlan did number... Who did number 3? Wow. Am I slipping on this shit?
Yes.
Who did this?
Of course, now I can't remember now.
Yeah, right?
Great song by Dokken.
Dokken. I have that on my playlist. You have to have Dokken's Dream Warriors on your playlist if you love rock and roll music.
Was it Decker? Decker? No,
Dokken.
No, who directed it?
Fred Decker.
Was it Decker, right?
I think it was Fred Decker. Let
Fred
me just
Decker.
quick
search.
Quick search.
Should have had these written down.
I should have had everything going for my thing, but I will check it out. Quick, Dream Warriors. Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Great movie. Great. That's when Freddy went full balls out. Fucking, the Freddy love, the joke talking. Chuck Russell. Chuck Russell. I knew it was something.
Yeah, Chuck Russell.
Yeah.
Also he did the Blob remake.
That almost made the honorable mention list. The Blob remake is amazing. If you haven't seen the Blob remake, please watch that movie. It's so good. Both the Blobs are great. But Dream Warriors is great. The soundtrack's great. The kills are great. It's hilarious. That's when Freddy kind of hits his stride. It's a great flick. One of my all-time favorite Freddy movie, Nightmare on Elm Street.
All right, just a quick throw out there for Chuck Russell. Chuck Russell also directed The Blob. He did The Mask with Jim Carrey. Also did Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What name?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger.
And then he did the Scorpion King.
That's not, that's pretty much downhill from that one.
All right,
Rick, number 6. What do you got?
My number 6 movie, the first slasher to kind of appear on my list. Technically, The Tall Man is not a slasher. So Halloween, John Carpenter's classic. It fell pretty far on my list. Personally, I love slasher movies, and just to preface it, Wes Craven did not make my top 10. John Carpenter to me is just he's a legend. And Donald Pleasance, you don't really get much better than having a classic actor like Donald Pleasance in a slasher flick.
Yeah.
You really you don't see that too often where an acclaimed actor, maybe now, who was it in the remake? It was Malcolm McDowell. But I don't think Malcolm McDowell has the same
gravitas.
Presence. Yeah, gravitas is a great word. Gravitas that Donald Pleasance demands. Everything. Jamie Lee Curtis, great performance. One of the original Scream Queens, and she really lets you have it here with her.
I watched
screams.
Prom Night last night. That movie does not hold up.
Prom Night, the original?
Yeah,
Prom Night's pretty bad. I really don't like it.
Halloween, great movie. Didn't make my top 10. I wanted to put it on. I debated putting it on. Not my favorite. One of my favorite. If I had a top 15, it would be on the top 15. Great soundtrack. The music by John Carpenter is amazing. That score is legendary. You hear that score, you're instantly thrown into it. You're instantly turned into a babysitter about to get killed by Michael Myers.
Pretty much, right?
It's a great movie. Should have made my maybe again, like you asked me in a year, it might be in my top 10. But a great pick, great movie. The new one, the 2018.
Oh no, I want to say 2016.
The new one just came out last year. What are you talking about?
Oh, no. Okay, you meant not the Rob Zombie crap.
No. I don't care. No, fuck Rob Zombie. All right.
Yeah, Rob Zombie ate a dick.
No, the one that just came
Rob.
out is actually really good. I really like the new one. I like how they kind of skipped all the other ones and just went to, we're gonna just make a direct sequel. Really well written, well directed.
Thank you, Danny McBride. I didn't know you had that in you. And I do look forward to, if you decide to do more Halloween movies or even other horror movies. Oh yeah, I look forward to it. Thank you so much. You really brought something back for me.
He's not watching.
Yeah.
All right, so number 5 on the list.
All right, for me.
Whoa.
Oh wait, it's yours?
It's mine.
Okay, sorry.
You dick.
Was it mine? Okay, yeah, that's right. Go for it.
Evil Dead, the good one, part 2.
Wait, you like the Ghostbuster ghost?
Like a little Japanese girl. Evil Dead 2, pretty much a remake of the first one. A great flick. I love this is where Ash became Ash. Right there. That's why he's in the background right there. Just a great character. This is when he went full Ash. It's shot better. The special effects are better. It's a more cohesive story, kind of, even though it's still kind of all over the place. The problem with the Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2 versus Evil Dead, I saw them all out of order. I saw Army of Darkness first at the Tanforan Dollar Theater.
I saw it there too. I saw it there too.
We might have been in the same way.
Yeah, you never know.
Then I saw part 2, and then I saw part 1. So I saw them all out of order. So once you see part 2, and then you go to part 1, it's like, the better version is part 2, so I was kind of ruined for me. Maybe if it was the other way around, I would probably love the first one, but the second one is one of my favorite. It does, like Rick said, it does kind of blur the line between comedy and horror, but it's some great special effects, great camera work, still great to this day, holds up. Just a great, awesome movie. I love Bruce Campbell in this. I just love Sam Raimi. I just love all the K&B special effects. They're very beginning. So these guys, this movie's awesome. It's one of my all-time favorites. I can't say enough about this movie. Bruce Campbell's the man. I love this movie. Evil Dead 2, number 5 on my list.
It's a great movie. Like you said too, I watched Army of Darkness first, and then I went to watch Evil Dead, the first one. So maybe that's why Evil Dead holds a bigger place in my heart than the second one. I actually watched them out of order, but then I watched Evil Dead and then Evil Dead 2. He watched Evil Dead 2 and then Evil Dead 1. So it's easy to see why you could love it. I'm not going to hate on it. Evil Dead 2 is a great flick. I love it. It didn't make my top 10 because I wanted to put Evil Dead 1 in there, but I have no argument with that one. So now my next flick. All right, here we go. Now we're getting into the nitty gritty. So Friday the 13th.
This is your number 5, right?
Number 5, yeah. Okay. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, part 4. My favorite Friday the 13th movie, probably my favorite slasher film of all time. I love slasher films. Slasher films is my genre. And you know what? There's Freddy. There's Michael Myers. There's Pinhead. There's all these other guys. I mean, Pinhead's debatable whether he's a slasher or not. But there's all these slashers. But you know what? Jason he's the best. He's the best.
He looks cool. He has the best kills. He probably has the highest body count of all the slashers.
Well, with other than the tall man, which bodies count you don't see. No. Jason's you do
bodies
see.
You see.
So Jason not only has probably the highest body count that you see on screen.
All right.
Oh, he has the coolest kills, man.
Okay, let me just skip to something real quick. My number 4 pick is Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. So let's just keep talking about Friday the 13th.
We're gonna have to get on the final chapter here.
The final chapter. It's a great movie, great ending to the character, even though he came back. I do actually like Part 6 a lot too.
The Tommy Jarvis trilogy at the end kind of ends it, but I don't want to say it ends it. I'm still hoping. I'm still holding out.
I love that movie a lot, but Part 4 is just a great classic slasher movie. It's from top to bottom. It's just a great movie. It's funny. It's brutal. Jason looks
super brutal, man.
Jason looks badass. The mask never looked better. it's an all around great movie. It's one of my favorite slashers is Jason, hands down. One of the best slasher movies. Part 4. I'm not a huge fan of Part 1. A lot of people like Part 1. I'm not a huge fan. I'm a Jason guy. I love Jason, hockey mask Jason. So even though the second one is really good, the third one is the use of 3D doesn't really hold up and kind of takes you out of the movie, you know. But this is where Jason hits the stride. This is the best Friday the 13th. And I totally agree with you, Rick. This is number 4 on your list. Number 5 on my list. Number 4
on your list. Wow.
4, yeah.
The fact that this is my favorite Friday.
Yeah.
And it made it higher on your list.
Yeah. I
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I'm really tripped out by that right now.
Don't think about it too much, man.
Yeah, well, it's the reason I love it. First of all,
I like it.
You have a kid he's the hero. Corey Feldman, young Corey Feldman, he's the hero. I think he probably wasn't older than 11 years old. He's pretty awesome in it. Once again, when it comes to all these horror movies, it's quotable lines, memorable deaths, especially when it comes to slasher movies.
Oh, great,
and,
great.
A lot of people were, you got the corkscrew going into Crispin Glover. Yeah, Crispin Glover's eye, and
it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's an awesome movie. You got a kid who's not just that. I think the kid was based on like Tom Savini. A lot of his work, Tom Savini's work, was supposed to be Tommy Jarvis's stuff, but Tom Savini worked on it to kind of give Tommy Jarvis this kind of feel that he's into horror, he's into the whole kind of he likes to be scared, but it's the most resourceful kid you've ever seen. He's fixing cars, for Christ's sakes, and he knows about solenoid converters and all this shit.
All right. Friday, final chapter, the best one, man. Friday the 13th.
It is the best.
All right, number 4, Rick. What's on 4 on your list?
4 on my list. Once again, Tobe Hooper makes the cut. He didn't make it for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He did make it for Poltergeist. Joe Beth Williams.
Wait, hold on.
The first one.
Little controversy here.
Why? Wait. Okay.
Steven Spielberg directed the.
He did not. He did not. I went back.
He directed a lot of it though.
Yes and no.
He went in and reshot.
He really had a big hand in making this flick.
Well,
and you can see it.
Him definitely. And Hooper were getting kind of differing in opinion, so they kind of clashed because Spielberg was famously the producer of this movie, and he kind of stepped in a couple times. And
I did. You know what? I was watching a lot of interviews, and I just wanted to make sure because this is on my list, and I wanted to give credit to the right person.
This came close to coming on my list too.
Tobe Hooper.
I love this movie a lot.
Tobe Hooper and Spielberg collaborated. Spielberg was on set quite a bit and was very hands-on. But at the end of the day, this was a Tobe Hooper movie. You could see it go back and watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You can see a lot of the same shot selection. But then again, you can see Steven Spielberg's touch on this movie, which is awesome.
Caroline.
Spielberg. If people don't trip on it, Spielberg has done so many kinds of movies, and this is his kind of horror movie. I wish Steven Spielberg did a horror movie.
I think it's the best of both worlds. It's definitely a great collaboration between two directors with differing styles and kind of bringing that hardcore horror element and that dreamscape kind of Spielberg kind of element to it. It's a great movie. The little girl was really good in it.
Zelda Rubinstein was great. Oh my God, Zelda Rubinstein as Tangina.
Caroline, step into the light, Caroline. Step into the light, Caroline. Oh, it's a
very good flick. A lot of good imagery in that movie. Very scary.
Greg T. Nelson, Coach.
Greg T. was great in that fucking.
He's
flick,
badass. It's a good pick, Rick. I almost if I had a top 20, that would be
that makes the top 20 definitely.
All right, so good pick, Rick. All right, so where are we at? Number three for me, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh yeah.
Yep, great movie. Just well acted. Just the pacing, the tension in this movie. Just the scene where they're testing the blood. If you have not seen this movie, I won't spoil it, but just so good. Just the music.
John Carpenter didn't do the music for this one.
And he helped with
Ennio
Morricone.
Yeah.
He did the music. The studio didn't want this was a big studio movie. They didn't want John Carpenter. They felt he was too amateurish to do
indie.
Too indie. But he did help with the score and kind of helped like sway the score in a certain direction. It's a great scored movie. It's well shot, well acted. You got Keith David. Oh, he's a classic. Oh,
you had Wilford. Yeah, Keith David, Wilford Brimley.
Diabetes. Just a great movie. Just great tension. A great movie to put on a dark, like cloudy night, and just one of John Carpenter's best movies. There's so many John Carpenter movies that could be on this list, but when it came down to it, I think all around great, like perfect movie. The Thing, just really good, and the practical effects. The practical effects are amazing. They're so good. It's just the best. They still hold up. If you watch this movie today, they're better than any CGI or whatever. The practical effects in this movie are amazing. They're so good. Just watch. If you're just you just want to see the effects, just watch it for that. It's just amazing. I can't recommend this movie enough. John Carpenter, The Thing. Watch it if you haven't watched it. It's such a great movie.
So even just to go back to Carpenter's The Thing, they did not a remake, but it was a sequel or a prequel.
Yeah, it was
about what happened
Swedish,
beforehand.
Right?
Yeah, before this movie happened, and they used CGI. Garbage, a very garbage flick. It was decent, but you could see where practical effects in horror movies just work so much better than CGI. Yeah. Please, for future directors, do not use CGI. Stick to practical effects. Stick to actual, blood. I don't want to see the CGI blood anymore. I'm a horror purist. I
say use real blood if you're gonna really just go after it.
Okay.
Rick, number 3. What you got?
Sweet. Okay, so number 3 on my list is the first Stephen King movie and the only Stephen King movie that made my list. Is The Shining.
The Shining.
We're gonna get Sid. So Stanley Kubrick.
All right. Just to preface that.
Wow.
My number 2 is The Shining.
Are you serious?
Your number 3.
It's damn it.
There. So we can talk about it freely now.
A little bit further. Yeah.
If this is the 4K re-release of it, we'll buy that one.
There's so much to say about this movie.
The Shining.
There's been documentaries on this flick.
Room 237. If you have not watched the documentary Room 237, it's all about all the theories that people come out of Kubrick's filming of this movie. They talk about like how the big rumor about Kubrick filming the moon landing is discussed. It's really good. It's a good double feature. Watch this movie with Room 237.
I would actually watch Room 237 first and then watch this. That way you can have the whole thing fresh in your mind, and then when you watch The Shining. Just kind of see the Shining. We're gonna get sued.
Shut up, boy! You want to get sued?
After you see all the imagery in this movie, you could see, go back and forth, and you could see how Room 237 kind of, went in depth with a lot of the. I mean, even down to the carpet that they were using in the Overlook. It's pretty awesome. The Shining is just Jack Torrance's. Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance was like unbelievably good. But did you see the video that they have Jim Carrey?
Oh, the fake.
The fake Jim Carrey.
Deep fake.
Yeah. You have Jim Carrey's face out there. If you're on YouTube somewhere, of course you're watching this right now. Look up Jim Carrey as Jack Torrance. It will change a lot of your opinions on Jim Carrey.
Shelley Duvall is great in this.
I feel
Kubrick.
Bad for that lady.
Kubrick famously put her through hell just to get that raw emotion out of her.
She's still traumatized to this day about it.
It ruined Pi Pi. It's just a great movie. The music is so haunting. You just hear that music play, like in Ready Player One a couple years ago when they had the scene. Spoilers: they had a Shining scene, and that music popped up. I
seen it through my fingers.
So good. Just shot well. The Overlook Theater. It's just. The Overlook Inn. It's amazing. It's just a great movie. The Shining is great. A great all around horror, like just dark, twisted. I can't wait for Dr. Sleep coming up.
Dr. Sleep is going to be awesome. Read the book? You haven't read the book yet, right?
I've not read the book.
Good. You get to go in fresh. Yeah. I get to go in hoping I get to see everything that I read in the book. The Shining is great. Imagery is awesome. I can't, that movie, Stanley Kubrick, that guy's fucking, he's pretty
good.
special. He's pretty
good.
special, man.
He's pretty good.
That
That kid's going places.
guy, Stanley Kubrick is pretty good.
He's that guy.
I think he's gonna make it.
Yeah, we could do a whole episode on Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley Kubrick, yeah.
But The Shining, just a great movie. Can't wait for Doctor Sleep. Just a great, just awesome. Even though famously, Stephen King did not like the adaptation.
He hated it. He
it with
hated
a
the
passion.
adaptation of this movie.
So I own the remake, the TV
The TV movie.
Yeah.
You know what? As a good honorable mention,
It's hard. It's hard. I have it. I've been
It's a
sitting
cool
on my
flick.
shelf for a while. I want to watch it, but
You haven't seen it?
I've seen parts of it. I just don't. This is The Shining. I like this.
No,
I
I
like
know.
I'm sorry, Steven. I like this one better. Okay, shit. Fuck. Stop yelling at me, Steven.
It's a that compared to the other one, to the remake. Of course, it's superior, but
Shinin.
the remake is definitely closer to the book, and Stephen King does appreciate that. But you know what? Imagery in this one, Stanley Kubrick, you cannot beat it. You watch this flick, you watch the second, and then you watch the remake. You're going to see that there's a definite difference in between both movies.
Ricky, number 2.
Number 2,
The Deuce.
The Deuce. Okay, yeah, that. Mine is the George Romero classic, Dawn of the Night of the Living
Monkey
Dead.
Shines?
No,
Oh.
Night of the Living Dead, the original. Now,
Remake.
the reason the original. The reason I say the original is, movies in black and white, they do hold that special kind of that feel, especially. And this movie, it definitely brought forth the whole zombies to the forefront.
It could be a good thing or a bad thing.
No,
but...
that's a great thing. That's a great thing. Zombies is actually one of the best genres in horror, and I really do appreciate it. Not just that. When it comes to horror is such a social commentary on the things that are happening around us at the time. And this movie was super controversial at the time. That you had a black man as the hero, and he was saving a whole bunch of white people,
White folks.
Bunch
of honkies.
And they were scared. But yeah, and not just that, he was altruistic. He really wanted to help everybody, even down to who was the guy who was not Cooper? Was it Cooper? Cooper! Let me down. Yeah, Cooper. The guy was just such an asshole. He was trying to help everybody and his family.
It's kind of an allegory for like the nation at that point.
Pretty much.
The
And
rich white man trying to hold the black man down.
And this is what I want to say too when it comes to horror movies. A lot of horror movies are a social commentary about the time.
Morris Day in the time?
Morris Day in the time. Well, would you be Morris Day? I'd be Jerome then, right? I gotta get a mirror. But yeah, it shows a lot of social commentary, a lot of things that are happening at the time, the social issues. And that's one thing I really do appreciate about horror. Horror is it's unapologetic for what happens, and they wrap it up in such a nice little package, and people die, which is awesome. Yeah. Fuck everyone, let them die.
Oh, Jesus. Don't get me wrong, I do love this movie. It's one of the classics. Great black and white. The use of black and white in this movie, not by choice, but it's a great flick. I like the remake better. I think it's a better movie, but even though it's it's pretty much the same damn movie. But it's a great flick. All right, so now down to my numero un. Rick, I believe this was your number 10. I believe.
Wow, my number 10 is your number 1
or number 9, whatever it is.
Number 9.
American Werewolf.
That's your number 1?
This is my number 1 favorite horror movie of all time.
Okay.
I love this movie so much. I can rewatch this movie. Rick said it, earlier. The music is amazing. The comedy, it definitely blurs the line of comedy. John Landis at his best. The special effects are amazing. The best werewolf transformation in any movie.
Still to this day.
Still to this day. The humor is super dark. The way it's shot. The last 20 minutes in that movie theater, tearing the streets of London. I'm more of a biped werewolf kind of guy. I like the bipeds, but this is the best quadruped werewolf. This is a great design for a werewolf. Rick Baker just killed it on the special effects. I believe he won an Oscar, right, for special effects in this movie.
Rick Baker.
Yeah.
First time I think they ever assigned
Academy Award winning
for special effects was Rick Baker. They created a whole category for him since then. Rick Baker is supremely awesome. Has done lots of special effects. King Kong, the one with Jeff Bridges, he did that one.
It's just my all-time favorite horror movie. I love this movie so much.
Planet of the Apes too.
I believe he did the Michael Jackson apes.
But they were, you know what? Great effects, shitty movie.
Yeah, pretty bad. But American Werewolf in London, just an awesome movie. Just crazy scenes. Like the dream sequences are insane. His buddy just slowly deteriorating after.
Dunn was great.
So good. He's so good in this movie. He's probably the best part of this whole movie. Just an awesome. It's a great love story. It's a tragic love story. It's a great comedy, and it's all around just an awesome horror movie. It's my favorite horror movie of all time. American Werewolf in London. I can't praise this movie enough. It's the best.
All right. So my number one, I mean, this is definitely it's The Exorcist.
Whoa, Exorcist.
It's tough to be that cliche that The Exorcist is going to be my number one, but I do remember watching this movie as a young kid on KBHK 44. My mom thought I was fucking nuts because I would constantly watch it anytime it was on.
And how?
And I mean, it was
good thing she was proven wrong.
That's kind of cold-blooded. But yeah, I mean, even the
for
fact
the bit, Rick. It's for the bit.
They brought I mean, even quoted in Beetlejuice, you know, he saw it 167 times and it keeps getting funnier every time he sees it. But that movie, it's still just like Poltergeist. It's one of those movies that still, you know, there's a curse.
Friedkin? Who directed it? Friedkin, right?
Yeah, William Friedkin.
Yeah, Friedkin.
Off of William Peter Blatty's.
The score is amazing too in that movie.
Oh my god, the Tubular Bells. I think you listen to Tubular Bells. You try to listen to Pure Moods. Tubular Bells is going to take you right into the
just like the Halloween score.
Father Merrin coming up.
Yeah.
Not just that. Who Father Merrin? Who is that? Max von Sydow.
Yeah.
Max von Sydow, Ellen Burstyn. You had a young Linda Blair. Just everything about that movie, the imagery, even the imagery was captured in other flicks like or in other shows. I love the Spaced episode when they were doing the, you know,
oh man, we should
Cthulhu.
We should do an episode on Space.
Man, we could do a whole show on Space. The top 10 Spaced moments. Wouldn't you like to see that, folks? But yeah, Exorcist is definitely one of my top. It's probably my top flick. I've seen that movie so many times. The effects hold up great. It's it's scared a shitload of people throughout the years. I mean,
it's very haunting for sure.
I still talk to folks and they're like, "Oh, I can't sit through it." I'm like, you know what? Grow a pair. It's just a movie, but
it'll definitely scare you more if you're Catholic. I think if you.
Oh yeah, if you're Catholic and you're religious,
you're raised Catholic. I think
you're going to be going to church right after this.
A little too close to home, if you ask me. But yeah, it's a great pick. I would say probably in my top 20. I wouldn't put it in my top 15.
Really? That's
yeah. It's a great flick, but you know I like a lot of horror movies. But yeah, I just couldn't.
Well, like you said, the list goes fluid and it changes every time. I mean,
we can do this list 2 years from now and it'll probably be totally different.
You never know.
Except for American Werewolf.
American Werewolf in London probably will be number one. Well, see, that's funny that you're the guy who likes werewolves.
I do love werewolves. Werewolves are my favorite genre of monster.
Werewolves are his favorite. Vampires are mine. And it's funny that Lost Boys was, even as a vampire fan, I think Lost Boys was even before. It was rated lower than American Werewolf in London. American Werewolf in London is a great movie. I love that movie.
It's a good movie.
It's a great movie.
So we had a couple. What movies did we have on our list? We had
the same ones.
We had Lost Boys on our same list.
American Werewolf in London.
American Werewolf in London.
Different versions of Night of the Living Dead.
Different versions of Evil Dead.
Evil Dead.
Friday the
13th Part 4. I mean, that's so awesome that it's funny that some of my movies that were on my list were just like a hair right before yours.
Yeah, it's pretty good list. Yeah, The Shining we shared. Yeah, it was pretty close for the most part. Yeah, I could have went and did like a 50 top 50 because there's so
this
many,
is
this was a hard top 10 to put together because there's so many great horror movies. I love the genre. Probably my favorite genre at all.
It's definitely my favorite genre.
Yeah, because it's so diverse. There's so many ways you can go with horror. You can go comedy. You can go sci-fi. You can go straight slasher. There's so many subgenres of horror movies.
Yeah, I mean that's the toughest part for me. I think I wanted to throw a lot of sci-fi on there. I wanted to throw Alien. I wanted to throw. I wanted to put The Fly in there. The Fly probably would have been in my top 3 if sci-fi was included. Probably Alien would have been my number 1. Alien is one hell of a movie. It doesn't.
That almost made my list too.
Yeah, it just gives you the feeling of isolation.
You want to hear a couple of my other ones?
Yeah, go for it.
Reanimator didn't make it.
Reanimator's a nice one, man.
So good. I love Reanimator.
Super gore.
From Dusk Till Dawn almost made the.
From Dusk Till Dawn's a good vampire flick. I like
almost
that
made
one.
it. Halloween was on my almost made. Return of the Living Dead Part 2, but that kind of sways more to the comedy side.
Dark comedy.
But I love that movie. I like another controversial opinion. I like that movie more than the first one, Return of the Living Dead Part 2.
No, it's kind of confusing between those two films because the guys come back in the second.
It's just basically the second one is Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead. It's pretty much I love that movie. And one that almost made the cut was The Conjuring, the first Conjuring movie.
The Conjuring should have made my cut.
Yeah,
I love The Conjuring. I love Insidious.
Yeah, it came close. It came close. Any other ones that almost made your list, Rick?
For me, a lot of ones that made my list.
That didn't make your list.
That didn't make my list. What didn't make my list? Dog Soldiers didn't make my list.
Yeah, that's a good.
Dog Soldiers probably would have.
That's probably the
top 20.
Second best werewolf movie. I think.
Second best werewolf movie for me.
Howling is number 3.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Dog Soldiers would have been one of them. When we're talking pure horror, From Dusk Till Dawn would have been on there. The first one.
That almost made.
Please don't pay attention to the shitty sequel. Terminator.
Yeah, well, the Terminator, it's basically almost a horror movie.
It is a horror movie,
but it's a very
sci-fi horror. Yeah. But at the same time, it's still a horror movie. When you see people getting punched, a hole getting punched through you, it's pretty fucking awesome. There was a lot of movies that probably could have made my list, and I just feel so bad that I wasn't able to get anything on. It was an easy list to make, but at the same time, it was hard to keep a lot of things off of this list. But
we spoke so long, our screen went away. All right, so I think that was a great list. I think that was good conversation. I really enjoyed it. We're definitely going to do some more lists and maybe suggest some lists you want us to see.
Please suggest your list in the comments area if you want to see us talk about things. We have a lot of genres that we do cover.
We could do
I love movies.
We could do superhero movies. We could do top 10 Spielberg movies. We could do top 10, comedies. Top 10, whatever
top
you guys.
Sandler.
Dude, that'd be
actually no. I'm sorry, top 5 Sandler.
Yeah, I can't top 3 Sandler. I think
top 3. We could do that right now.
Yeah,
be like your quick list.
Yeah, just comment or suggest or write whatever. Just hey, thanks for people that are supporting the channel, and you're gonna see more videos. The more people like these videos, the more we're gonna make them, and the more we appreciate your guys' help, and look out for more videos. Rick, you got any final words for?
Yeah, bada bing, do that thing. Hit like and subscribe right now. Come on, please.
Yeah, what he said. Cool. Thanks for watching it. If you watched this whole list, I appreciate it. I think we went, an hour or so?
Did we?
Almost. Oh, no, just under an hour. That's pretty good.
Okay.
It felt like a long time. Jeez.
It did feel.
It's an epic fucking director's cut right here. Like and subscribe. Just look out for more videos and watch out for our weekly show, the SF Company Hour. That's coming, dropping on Saturday.
Who's this week's guest?
Scumbag Dre.
Scumbag Dre!
And Hondo's making his triumphant return.
Hondo!
And look for
trolling.
Look for Rick in the director's chair. Cool. And appreciate you guys watching this. And please like and subscribe again. I'm just going to keep saying that until people actually all do it.
Bada bing, do that thing.
Stop it.
Wow.
Stop that.
I got to come with a catchphrase.